When you're working really hard to stick to your nutrition and finally making progress with either weight loss or maintenance, it can be scary to go on a trip because you're out of your comfort zone and your routine. So in this video, I want to show you how it's totally possible to stick to your nutrition goals, even hit your macros while you're traveling. And I'm going to show you in one of the locations that has notoriously unhealthy food, Disneyland. So when I used to travel, I had a lot of anxiety about it. I would go from freaking out so much and feeling like it was helpless and overeating and binging and gaining a ton of weight and feeling really uncomfortable and hating myself the whole time. Or I would go on the other extreme and eat very little, not enjoy the time with my family, and feel like I was depriving myself of joy during my trip. I realized I needed to find a way to stick to my goals, follow my nutrition plans, and still enjoy my time on vacation with my family. So when I talk about sticking to my goals, I'm really talking about my macronutrient goals. And to do that, I've calculated out my personal macros, which break down into about 2,100 calories per day. The macros behind those calories are 255 grams of carbohydrates, 50 grams of fat, and 160 grams of protein. And these are my personal caloric and macronutrient needs in order to reach the goals that I have set forth. In order to find out what macros you should be following, I have a full video that walks you through how to calculate them for yourself, and I will link to that below for you. So I have done intermittent fasting and gone to the parks before, and what I do there is I just get a ton of steps that are fasted at the park, and I don't eat anything until later in the day. But today I wanted to show you how I would eat in a normal day if you're not doing intermittent fasting. If you're interested on how to do intermittent fasting, definitely check out my What I Eat in a Day intermittent fasting video, because that shows you exactly how I do that in a typical day. So let's dive into my day at Disney. Come along with me. First off, I'm gonna wake up at 6:15 because I wanna make sure that I have enough time to pack and do my normal routine ahead of leaving. So like always, I weigh myself, I track it, and then I get ready. My goals for traveling are to prioritize protein, stay hydrated, and get movement. Whenever I travel, I try to get a hotel room or an Airbnb that has a refrigerator, because having your own access to food is a huge help when you're traveling. On days like this, when I know I'm gonna be out for a long period of time and I'm not gonna have a lot of high protein food available to me, I make sure to have my Cleanish protein shake in the morning along with my collagen. Having a protein shake, especially adding in the collagen, has been a huge game changer for me in order to hit my protein goals, because it is very tricky to hit protein while traveling. So for breakfast, I have my Cleanish caramel latte protein shake. I'm also gonna have an Ezekiel muffin with a little bit of sea salted organic butter. I normally do about a half a tablespoon of this butter because I know that today is gonna be pretty tricky to keep my fat levels low, because it's always the case when you travel. So planning my day out ahead of time is really helpful here so that I don't make any big mistakes that are gonna cost me some enjoyment later on in the day. And I have learned that if I fail to prepare, I'm gonna basically prepare myself to fail. For lunch, I'm gonna be packing a bagel. I love Dave's Killer Bagels. They're high protein and the ingredients aren't awful. Definitely follow the Cleanish aspect there. I'm also packing a banana and some tangerines, some unsweetened applesauce, because those are some really good, easy carb options. I'm gonna actually bring some extra protein along with me in a shaker bottle. I'm not gonna add any water to it right now. I'll do that later when it's time, but that's gonna be an easy 20 grams of protein later on in the day when I definitely need it. Now, while Disneyland doesn't have a lot of options for protein that are low fat, what I can do is actually grab some fruit along the way at Disneyland if I want to, but bringing it with me makes sure that I have what I need, and it's a lot cheaper. And I'm planning on bringing a ton of water today, because staying hydrated is huge while you're traveling, especially if you're gonna be walking around at Disneyland all day. My goal is to drink half of my weight in ounces every day, and I will recycle all of these plastic water bottles. And finally, I'm grabbing some coffee to go. I'm definitely having my Cleanish Better Than Yesterday coffee that I absolutely love. I just add a little bit of organic half and half to it, and it is so delicious. I have it every morning. And I'll drink this on the drive over. So now it's time to head off to Disneyland. So Disneyland is one of those special places for me and Dustin and now our family. It's a place that I used to go to growing up in Southern California. I went to Disneyland a few times and absolutely loved it. It wasn't something that my parents really incorporated into our lives very often. It was like a super special occasion. And now it's a really cool thing to come back to Disneyland and show the kids where Dustin and I got engaged. And plus I get to show them all the cool things that we experienced as kids. And I'm really excited because we get to go do the Indiana Jones ride, which isn't anywhere else but at Disneyland. Haunted Mansion, those are all family faves. And Galaxy's Edge is just super cool. It feels like you're just in Star Wars when you go over there, and all the rides over there are amazing as well. I also really like the Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railroad. It's just the whole time I just have a smile from like ear to ear. It's just so entertaining, and I really love all the different pieces of it. And if I'm going to Disneyland or Disney World or something like that for a whole day, I know ahead of time not to go do a workout earlier that day, because I'm already going to be putting my body through quite a lot. Walking all day, getting between 10 and 20,000 steps is plenty of movement. And so I want to make sure that I'm enjoying my time, and I take the day off as a rest day for strength training. Disney certainly makes it easy to hit your fat and your carbs in a day. There's popcorn and cotton candy and pretzels and candy everywhere at Disney. So it's very easy to get snacky. For example, my kiddos and Dustin all wanted to have the Mickey beignets, but that wasn't the special treat I was planning for myself for that day. So I'm gonna watch them have their food. I'm not gonna feel bad about it because I know that part of my plan is to enjoy the other thing. And because Disneyland is a little tricky to eat healthy, I did some research ahead of time before coming to the park. And I found a few options for the most healthy type of foods at Disney. And when I'm saying healthy, I mean high in protein and low in fat, hopefully, because fat is a pretty easy one to find at Disney. And I also want to make sure that the food is nutritious. Some of the options I found are the turkey legs that you can get, but I've since learned that they're actually really high in fat and in sodium. And Disney doesn't publish any of their nutrition information, so it's kind of tricky. But a New York Times article recently noted that a turkey leg at Disneyland has upwards of 36 grams of fat. So I'm gonna pass on that. Docking Bay 7 at Galaxy's Edge is another great option for some healthier foods. For example, they have a roasted chicken salad that a lot of people get. The French Market over in New Orleans also has a good option. They have chicken with pasta, and they also have an oven roasted chicken with some vegetables on the side. Also, the Galactic Grill over in Tomorrowland has a couple options. They have a chopped salad with grilled chicken and a veggie sandwich. Now, while all of those would be perfectly fine options, the one that sounded the best to me was the Bengal Barbecue's skewers, and because I just love skewers anytime. And the Bengal Barbecue is located over in Adventureland, over near the Jungle Cruise and the Indiana Jones area. What I'm doing is I'm actually ordering separate chicken skewers and veggie skewers so that I get a ton of chicken and veggies in my meal. And honestly, getting a big serving of lean chicken protein and veggies is a huge win for me. And I thought I could get a side of just steamed rice, but apparently you have to order a whole new meal in order to do that. That's a special extra meal. So I'm gonna have to pivot, not have the rice that I had been planning, and instead I'm gonna grab some grapes after my meal. And of course, I'm having a water with my meal. So here are the macros for this meal. So the weather is getting kind of nice now and more people are packing into Disneyland, which means the crowds are getting pretty high. There's more lines. We're gonna take this opportunity to head over to downtown Disney, which is a simple walk out of the park. But we're gonna walk over there and have one of my absolute favorite treats, which is a salt and straw ice cream. Salt and straw is amazing and we don't have any near us, but we definitely hit it up anytime we're at Disneyland or at Disney World. So I got a split scoop, which is one serving, but they split the styles, which is awesome that they do that. A split scoop of coffee and love nuts, which is absolutely delicious, and ooey gooey chocolate brownie. So I have zero guilt eating every last bite of this delicious sweet treat, and it makes everything worth it that I've passed up already because I prioritized this is the thing I wanted, and I didn't waste my macros and my goals on things that I didn't want. Some thoughts on eating healthy while traveling are, if you do happen to overeat, it's done, it's in the past. The next best thing you can do is to not beat yourself up about it. Figure out where you changed your plan and how to improve that for the next time. So now we're gonna stop at Starbucks. Now, there aren't a lot of options that you can get at Starbucks that are actually low in added sugars and low in fat. But what I really like to get if I'm ever at a Starbucks is an iced green tea. And I'm just gonna add a little bit of half and half to that because that takes a little bit of that bitterness out of it. This allows me to have a fun treat with the kids. It also allows me to get a little bit of caffeine and also some water throughout the day. You have to make sure though, when you're ordering it to say no sweetener because they add sugar to everything. So they'll just give you a nice big glass of plain green tea by itself in ice if you ask for it. So at the end of the day, here are what my macros were. So I wound up with 251 grams of carbs, 47 grams of fat, and 161 grams of protein. Overall, I'm pretty stoked on how I was able to hit my macros within plus or minus 5 grams, which is a general rule that I have. Everything we do is about making good choices towards our goals. Another learning is just to make sure it's worth it. Really, there's a ton of delicious food out there and you could spend your whole life eating all of the delicious food. But at some point, if you want to be healthy, in shape, and feel good about yourself, you have to prioritize what you want. So what I do recommend is making sure that what you are splurging on is worth it. And it's worth it enough to make sacrifices elsewhere. And if you're ever near a salt and straw, it's worth it. So I hope this video shows you how it's entirely possible to eat healthy while you're traveling and how to set yourself up for success on a day even when you're at Disneyland. If you found this video helpful, give me a thumbs up and comment below where I should travel next to show you how it's entirely possible to eat healthy while traveling. Check out my What I Eat in a Day intermittent fasting, which shows you how I set up my day in a typical day with intermittent fasting to reach my goals, and I will see you in the next video.